Yeah, we're good. I'll do the little introduction. Okay, we go. Hi, everyone. This is episode 102 of Comedy Guy. I got Tim here in the studio. Tim, this is our last one before you take off for Ireland,
That's
is it?
right, yeah.
Is it? You got a busy week. We can't, yeah.
Well, I got most of the busy stuff done now.
Okay, you got a busy week. Tim's going to Ireland soon. We got this one, and we're in our new studio today. If you're watching the video, there's still a bit of a weird echo. Sorry about that. We're in a bigger space with the Comedy Estonia studio now. We've just moved, so we're still getting all set up. However, on today's podcast, we have an old friend of ours to talk to who has been on a big adventure, been doing a bunch of stuff, and we want to hear about it. Today, we have Kristjan Jekimov. How you doing,
Hi,
man?
guys. It's going well. It's going well. Having one of those 3 days after a hectic work week, but otherwise, yeah. Nice.
So, and Kristjan is a head chef at Põhjaka. Am I saying that?
Põhjaka Mõis, yeah.
Restaurant Mõis.
My local, I suppose.
Yeah, next to Paide. Finally.
So a great famous restaurant, one of those great things that it's a famous restaurant in the middle of fucking nowhere, but everybody knows it, super respected. And
not really in the fucking nowhere. It's like smack in the middle of Tartu-Tallinn highway. So like you're halfway to there, you just make a left turn and you're there, left or right.
That manor and that restaurant kind of, you know, Sami Grill that's in Mal, right?
Yeah,
it kind of took the banner from, because Sami Grill was the known halfway between.
I don't think so. You know what? It took the banner from Sami Grill. It was the highway they moved.
Yeah, they moved it.
Yeah, they moved it like a couple of 100 meters and that was that. Yeah. But the people still go there. Like a couple of days I just heard one of my friends said like, oh, we don't come to Põhjaka that often. And I was like, why? Because the portions are small and I know that Sami Grill, like they hit me with a slab of meat and that will be enough for a family of four or something like this. So yeah.
You remember Sami Grill, right?
I think I've been in there once a million years ago, maybe. Have you actually been and dined? And
I have.
Yeah.
Even when the guy was still alive.
Yeah. I think that was another thing that took some customers away. That he passed away like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago or something like this. So yeah.
And it's real, like it's salt of the earth, great stuff, like just Estonian,
just massive.
I think
slabs of meat.
Sami Grill was one of the first, like, I don't know if first is correct word, but one of the more famous like grill restaurants in Estonia. So
really? So it's legit? I always just thought it was just a big old fucking Finnish cake fucking cook up or something.
It's really good.
Oh, really? Yeah. I just thought it was like some greasy spoon on the side of the highway. I had no... Yeah.
I mean,
it kind of is. It kind of is. Right. But at the same time, it's
you got to say that to keep your position as head chef.
Yeah. But I'm not working in Sami Grill.
Yeah,
so
true. It's in the other place. In Põhjaka, you've got to be like...
all the dishes in Sami Grill are like from Argentina and Mexico. And
wow.
But it's all the same cut of meat.
So, but that's the funny thing. Like that's the exact opposite that Põhjaka is. Põhjaka is like everything comes from Estonia, from the either our neighbors or guys who live in Järvamaa or like every let's say most of the things that we put on the plate, we try to bring it from the region or from Estonia. So except of course like the ridiculously basic stuff like salt and oil and whatever.
Not Estonian salt. I just won't deal with
Estonian pig salt from Narva or something like this.
I don't want that. It's
Himalayan pink salt from Narva.
Pink because it's glowing.
Yep.
Estonian
Sillamäe salt.
Green salt from Sillamäe.
Yeah.
So part of the reason that Kristjan is here, because Kristjan's an old friend of ours, and if you're watching the video, the Möku, back in the day, one of the original bartenders from Möku, Comedy Estonia comedian, did a bunch of comedy over the years. So I guess, now you were born and bred in Tartu.
Yeah.
Okay. And take us on, I mean, I guess, you know, we knew you a few years ago, and then for me it was like, because I'm an idiot and I don't know, I just know, Kristjan's left and he's traveling. And that's as far as I knew about the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So at one stage you're in Tartu and then you decide... Before the chefing thing, before everything, you decide I gotta travel.
No, in the beginning it was like I was working and living in Tallinn. I was working in advertising agency DDB. I was working as a copywriter, and that is like the most ludicrous thing that happened at that time. Looking back, I was on my morning break with a coffee. I was scrolling down the Facebook, and I saw somebody was posting on Facebook something like the top 100 universities that year, something like this. And I was like, it had been 2 years since I finished bachelor's, and I was like, I think I want to go and study more. And it was just a random thought, like, let's see what I want to study, if I can get it in with my credentials, which weren't that good anyway. But and where would I like to live? And in the end, like Utrecht in the Netherlands popped out, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try. Applied, got in, and then I was like, oh, so that's like. Then I thought, like, I'm gonna go there, do 1 year, come back. That was the plan. That was the original plan. So, but that was like the push to get out of the Estonian. That was like the first step. So that took me to Norway because I needed money, a lot of money in a very short period of time. That took me to Norway. That took me to Netherlands. That took me back to Norway after that, because when I finished school, I thought, like, okay, I'm gonna come back to Estonia. I'm gonna do the advertising jobs again, things like this. My specialty, the thing that I was studying in the Netherlands, was like virtual reality and new media and things like this. I was like, okay, that's my path. Went to Norway, thought, like, I don't really need to come back to Estonia to do those type of jobs, because I can do the nomad work and travel around. I have saved up some money from Norway. Where can I go to spend, to live as best as I can with as little money as possible? So there were two choices, either Southeast Asia, and I thought, like, there's too many Estonians there. Like, I want to go somewhere I don't see Estonians. I don't see drunk Estonians. I don't see partying Estonians and things like this. But I still wanted to go somewhere that's completely different. That is, like, the culture is different, people are different, the language is different, everything's kind of the nature, everything. So the second option was South America. So I decided to go to South America, spend there a year a little bit more, and then I came back. But before that, I also went to Kazakhstan, because my mother was like, you can't go travel the world and not see your relatives. Like, they will not take it well. Yeah. So you have to go spend some time in Kazakhstan with your Korean relatives, and then you can go.
How long did you spend in Kazakhstan?
A month. Like, that's the visa you can get in Estonia, I think.
The interesting thing about all of this is that I kept up with every move he made. Just for some reason, Facebook and Instagram would just push your post to the top.
Nice.
So, like,
I was using correct hashtags.
Following this fucker around the planet was like almost like watching the Travel Channel for me.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I remember, like, when he first went to Norway, you stayed at this place called Loen, right?
Loen, yeah.
And he would post this photograph almost every morning from the same viewpoint into the fjord. And I'd look at this photograph, and I'd look out the window at Paide. And I would just go, oh, fuck. What the fuck am I doing with my life? No.
Yeah. So when you first went to Norway, what were you doing there? Just working?
I was like, my friend who's now this good big lawyer in Estonia. At that time he was studying in Tartu University, and he needed money for the studies as well. So he was going to Norway every summer in this really high class fancy hotel, and he was working there as a kitchen assistant. But even kitchen assistants get shit lot of money. So he was inviting me every year, because he was like, I know you like cooking, I know you like nature, I know you like hiking, so come work there. But I was working, doing other things, and I never did. So that 1 year I was like, okay, now I can come. I need a lot of money, like, let's go, let's do it. And he got a job as a lawyer, and he was like, I can't come, but I will send you the contacts. So everything was kind of arranged for me. I was talking to the head chef there. I went there, and I got the lowest, most basic position in the kitchen, which is the kitchen assistant. So you're not really doing anything, you're not really doing anything considered to be like cooking or plating or something like this, because I didn't have any education. I didn't go to any cooking schools. Everything that I learned was from YouTube videos or reading books or trying out on my own way. So I was peeling a ton of carrots, chopping a ton of onions, like things like this, like frying things up, warming up the sauces, things like this. So, but I was seeing what the other guys were doing there, and the kitchen was huge. It was massive. It was like I think like 50 people working there, and it was like bigger than some restaurants in Estonia. It was just like this.
Where was this restaurant in Norway?
In the middle of Norway, it's like this very, very small village called Luen, in one of the biggest fjords that goes from the west coast into the mainland. And it was the village is itself, there's like maybe 500 people living there. But because there's these huge ocean cruise liners, like it's one of the deepest fjords there, so you can really go in deep into the countryside. So there was these huge cruise lines going there, and people doing the active vacation, like hiking and doing sports and base jumping and things like this. So there were a ton of American, Chinese, whichever tourists there all the time. So the hotel was packed, the restaurant was packed, and things like this. So there was a lot of work, like 500 people a day, 1,000 people a day, things like this. So
and this restaurant, I don't know if I'm jumping too far ahead into the story here, but as Tim was explaining to me, there's almost like a phenomenon or something where high class chefs have decided to set up shop or go be part of some restaurant in the fucking bumfuck fjords of Norway. Yeah. And because, I don't know, the kind of reasons you'll tell us. And so it's like a thing. There's all these amazing restaurants in the middle of nowhere in Norway. Is it one of those or?
So let's say like this. First of all, it's not only Norway. I think it's in general in Scandinavia. Yeah. But the thing is with Scandinavia, as much as far as I can understand, I'm not the expert. But like let's say take Norway for an example. The population is spread around the country like really scarcely. So you have Oslo, which is, I don't know how, it's not a lot of people. Like it's maybe a little bit bigger in population than Tallinn, but most of the next biggest city is also like 300,000, something like this. So, but their population is quite large, but they're really spread out all over the country. So you have these small villages or these small towns all over the place, and they're all in this beautiful countryside nature, like Arctics down to the down to the like what is it, Norwegian Sea, Northern Sea, something like this. So, and they have this fresh produce and like everything kind of is worked up in such way that you can have this really specific nice restaurant in this very, very scarcely populated place. But because they travel in during the summer and winter as well, ski traveling, fishing traveling, hiking, whatever, they have this caravan culture, you know. Okay. So you always have people coming around, and if you have like a small restaurant that caters to 30 people, and you have these high prices and high produce, you can survive on that on that type of like business module, let's say like this. And one of the most famous one is Faviken in Sweden, or was, because it's been closed for I don't know, 5-6 years now, something like this. And they were built up on exactly that idea that it was like there were a lot of the focus point was different, but the concept was it was this small farm that the head chef at that time bought. It was an apple orchard or something like this. That he bought, he built a restaurant there. He did everything that he put on the plate was somewhere from the local area, and he did it really, really well. And at that point, and in this like really quality, high class style, and he got a breakthrough, and people went there. But again, like it worked because but I think I haven't been eating there, so like it's from the things that I read and so on, things like this, and the way that these restaurants work, I think is because the things that they put on plate are spectacular phenomenon. The quality is like really, really, really high. The work behind it is on another level as well, and the kind of like the price is reflected in that as well.
Okay, it's high.
It's ridiculous. So,
but also, isn't it the case where chefs in that environment, they get to try stuff that they can't if they're working, you know, in a really busy fucking restaurant in the city?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, like, yeah, sure, because he can't. It's his place.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, it depends on the, like, not really, because it depends on the working culture in the kitchen in general. Like, if you have a head chef who's really like strict in his own ways, like it's my way or the highway, and he's throwing things around, and if it's not plated in a certain way, if it doesn't taste a certain way and it doesn't look the certain way, like you're out. Or there are head chefs who are like, I like your creativity, like give me the ideas, try something out, whatever you want. I will order it for the portion to try out. You will make it, we'll try it. If it's good, we'll try to put it in. So there's these different mentalities in the kitchen as well, different levels of being open. So it just depends on the people you're working. And in my mind, the second version works better.
Okay, a collaborative approach where you have basic human respect for the people that work with you in the kitchen and maybe take in their ideas. I don't know.
But at the same time, like if the head chef is this renowned world chef and he has this, like, I don't know, this meta ability of being able to taste and put on the plate like these spectacular things, then maybe he has earned the right, not the right to be a bastard, but the right to kind of like have it set his way. Yeah.
Sure, this is my thing. I know very clearly what I want to do, what I'm trying to get at. I've been doing this for a while, and
plus
the
like especially when you're working and you're asking like the price of the plate, the price of the food is like probably more than some people earn in a month. Then you have to deliver the quality, and in those situations, I think the chefs that are, let's say, the old school chefs who are really, really strict, they are more focused on the quality, that every plate that goes out and all the things that people eat is reflected. Like it's kind of like a dialogue between the price and the taste experience, let's call it like this.
Okay, so it makes sense that these sort of restaurants would take off in the Nordics, where you've got people with money.
Relatively exactly
with money. So this is where it might
plus
start from.
They're moving around. Plus the people are spread around, things like this, to come back to the original question. So I think like in the Nordics it works out really well. But at the same time, you got these really good 3 Michelin star restaurants in Oslo and Stockholm and things like this as well. So yeah. In Estonia, it's a bit different. In Estonia, you got like
Sami.
That's right.
In Estonia, it's like the population spread is like around Tallinn and Harjumaa anyway. So you got all these good restaurants. Let's not say all these good restaurants. Let's say like you got majority of restaurants, and the things that are happening around the food happening in Tallinn or Tartu or the cities. And like let's say like in last couple of years, more and more places and more like good ideas and interesting stuff has been happening around Estonia as well. On the islands, in Ida-Virumaa, in Võrumaa and places like that. But
I've noticed that big time, like, because before the pandemic, I would just drive around Estonia, just take random roads, and you'd find weird little restaurants that aren't just the local fucking taverns, you know. Like there was an Australian barbecue in just south of Rapla.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we never went there.
I went there once with Rauno, and it was decent. It was and in Aigvidu, there's an Irish pub run by a chef who grew up in my hometown. And I'm like, what?
In Aigvidu?
In Aigvidu,
you get to be trained there. Okay, that's how I know.
Aigvidu is a good place. It's a good place to hike and
the whole area is nice. Yeah.
So it's not because one thing that might strike people about Põhjaka, it's like, okay, again, back in the middle of nowhere, so to say. But that's not an unexpected thing in Estonia, that we have to drive somewhere to get that. Like you don't struggle for people.
No,
typically,
because like there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, a couple of days ago, I think it was 12th birthday of Põhjaka.
Okay, yeah.
So it's been open for over a decade, and it has been cultivating or it has gained a really good what do you call it? Reputation, and we have these very good loyal customers who are coming. Like the loyal customer base is quite big, which is very, very nice and appreciated. The second thing is also that it is next to Tallinn-Tartu maantee, which is the most driven highway in Estonia. So you don't really have to, and it's really situated in a good place where the 4 roads highway turns to the 2-1. So you have to slow down, and then you have to make a very, very when you're driving from Tallinn, you have to make a very easy turn left. Or in driving from Tartu, it's kind of similar. So the location itself, it's in the middle of nowhere.
But it's actually not.
But it's actually not. There's a very, very busy highway next to it. So there's a lot of people driving by, and it doesn't matter, especially when you're driving from Tallinn, you can see from far away are the cars in the car park. And usually if the car park is full, you get more people around. And then people stop by.
But also you have to realize that, like, I mean, you're from Australia, I'm from Ireland. So like, what is it, half an hour from Tallinn to get
it's
there?
Nothing. It's an hour.
Maybe an hour.
I'm driving. I'm living in Tallinn, so I'm driving there every Wednesday and Sunday. I'm driving back, and people say like, oh, but it's in middle of Estonia. How do you manage? Like, drive every day or something like this?
Have you seen how fucking small this country is?
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
Really?
it's an hour. Like, people drive from Nõmme to the center. I have a friend who lives in Nõmme, works in Karjasai, and her like morning commute takes more than mine from my home to Põhjaka, and that's in Tallinn. Right. Like, so what are you talking about?
I know the next section of new road is opening, so it's 15 minutes off. You know?
It's nothing. It's really, really nothing. And especially like when we get the drives that I've done in South America, it's like 48-hour drives, like nearly 60 hours on a bus, and you're like, 2 hours is like nothing. It's literally like
in Australia to be 8 hours. Like, we just did 8 hours just without thinking about it. Like, if I did 8 hours, it was too close. Like, if I didn't do 8, I was just like, oh, really? 2 hours? That's too close. It's not a holiday. It's so maybe
that's not worth the drive or something like this, you know.
So an hour down.
But sorry.
Let's go back to Norway and that kind of thing. So, trying to piece together the bits of the story. When did you first get an inkling for being a chef, and for?
So that was before Norway. That was like, let's say, not inkling of being chef. Like, I loved cooking since I moved out of my parents' house, which was.
Does it sound good for your parents?
No, they were really good, because my parents were like, they rarely ever bought like store-made foods, things like this. My mom's Korean, my dad's Estonian, but my dad really likes like his Middle Eastern food, Georgian food, like Ukrainian, East European food. So they were cooking at home all the time, and at that time, some of the things I liked, some of the things I didn't, but it really kind of opened up different things that you can cook, and different flavors and things like this.
We'd have very late drunk nights in Möku back in the day, just talking about.
But exactly, different foods that you can experience, and how whatever you eat or how you eat in childhood or early teens or whatever opens up the things for later. But at the same time, when I moved out, I wasn't like starting cooking different things. My mother, who's an English teacher, her like one client brought her 50 kilos of fish sticks. And she was like, oh yeah, my son's a student, he will have them. so my for a year my freezer was full of fish sticks. So I learned how to, like, I don't know, fry, boil, make sandwiches, I don't know, steam, do whatever we can do with fish sticks. So but the idea of, because I didn't have enough money, but I really liked cooking and I really liked eating well, so I didn't have enough money to go to the restaurants. So I started YouTubing and reading a lot of how you like cookbooks and how to prepare food at home, because you can buy all the produce on a lower scale and cheaper scale, and you can try them at home. So that's what I did. But I never really thought about being a chef, because I was studying semiotics, I was writing, I was doing different things, and I just like cooking for my friends, and that part was always there. I was sharing a flat with 6 people, or sometimes like Sundays or whatever, I was cooking up for everybody. And then but the first inklings of the ideas came before I came back to, like, in Norway, yes, but the idea when to become a chef, and that's my career, came when I came back to Estonia, like after all the traveling, and it was tied to Põhjaka, because I remember I had to go to the interview with them, and as I was walking to the bus, I was like, okay, if I get that job, I guess I'm a chef now. And I got the job. I was like, okay, I'm a chef now. Like that's the career, and it's been really, really good. And I kind of was struggling to find my own thing for a while, and now I found it. So
you said you did Norway. You don't really consider that the start.
That was a really, really good build-up. Let's say
you're working in a kitchen, learning how this is, learning the way, learning the business, as well as learning the culinary aspects of it. Yeah. But still, and then when you say get the job, you mean at because you weren't always head chef. Do you mean at Põhjaka?
Oh no! I've been
I cooked for like 6 friends in my apartment, and then I was head chef at Põhjaka. It was great. What?
No, I got a job there when I came back. I was looking for a job in Tartu, but at that time, I let's say it like this: I wasn't looking for a chef job just to do something. I wanted to cook somewhere that felt nice. That's the easiest way to put it. Like the restaurant was nice, that the place was nice, the people were good. Like I had some recommendations, and in Tartu they said like go to Jakobi. But at that time, like Jakobi is next to Barlova, it's a very, very small restaurant, local restaurant in Karlova. At that time, they already had their staff full, so they didn't need any people. So I had another friend working in Põhjaka, and he said like, oh, we need people, like come to us. And I went for the interview, and they hired me. So I was working there from I think something like September till January, like not a long time, but enough time to get to know the people, get to know the place, get to know the idea behind the restaurant itself, make some good friendships, and kind of like, and after that, although I was working in Tartu, I was still doing bits and pieces and a couple of days in Põhjaka when they needed help. I was just like, because it's such a great place, like the rest, not just the restaurant, the people, but the place itself. Like it has this big garden, it's in the middle of the nature, and it's like a little bit of escape from the town routine. So I always like to go there. And every time they needed help and they were calling and I had some free time, I was always like open to going there. So yeah. And I think that's like kind of working there, kind of like really opened up us being like, oh yeah, I think the working as a chef is something that I really want to do. And
in a very unique restaurant like Põhjaka, which is not like necessarily like an experience you'll get anywhere else at that time, and that they are open to that, as we were sort of talking about before. Sometimes a chef can be like, nah, this is what we do, welcome to this place, this is how we do it, bam.
No, they were always like, oh, if you want to put something on the menu, like like just make it, we'll order the stuff, you'll make it, we'll try it, and we'll let you know if it goes or doesn't. And that's what happened. Like every menu at that time, I tried to make something that was mine or something.
Do you remember what the first thing was at Põhjaka that you made? This is a Jekimov special.
It was really weird because it's like Põhjaka is focused on Estonian food and Estonian recipes, kind of in a sense of the idea that is behind the restaurant, but the foods and the kind of the recipes I brought were strictly Asian. So the first one was like this cold Asian noodle salad that is bibimbap. That is basically a noodle bowl. So you get this rice noodles, you have different types of salad, different types of protein, and it was summertime, so people were eating that. The second thing was I brought some kimchi dumplings. And I remember, like, I will never, ever put handmade dumplings in the menu again, because I was making them at like 3:00 in the morning, like trying to make handmade dumplings for people for the next week. And I was just
because you got to make a shitload of
dumplings. And I was like, why did I do this? Like, this is wrong. This is like, you're making the dough, you're making the batter, and then you're like flipping them. Then never again.
Okay, so, too much prep for the.
Too much prep, too much effort. But then again, like it is reflected on the price. Like you're putting effort until like 3:00, 4:00 in the morning, and then people ask like, why the hell do dumplings, like 3 dumplings cost €9?
Yeah.
And you're like, because I was flipping them until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Look at my eyes.
But at the same time, for instance, not to bash, I don't know, but like it doesn't like in some places, like when I can clearly see that there are like Rakvere dumplings or like the mass-produced dumplings, and they ask like €9 for 10 dumplings. I'm like, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
Like that's too much. So yeah.
I'm I keep going on about the food explosion that's happened in this country in the last 2 years, like Baltiam tour being there, and
Yeah.
because I never would have thought the whole like farm to table thing would be a thing here.
Yeah.
Before I left the country, even.
Yeah.
You know, because like, you know, Estonia is a very dairy heavy country, and for
Yeah.
years you couldn't get good beef here, and it was very pork heavy. So
Yeah.
do you think this kind of thing will kick on now, and there'll be more places like this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is one of the weird, interesting things that have been happening. Like again, I've been working in Põhjaka with Põhjaka for last 2 years. Let's say like this. They've been open for 12 years. They've been doing this farm to table thing because we have this big garden, and we've been working with the local farmers, things like this, since they were open. Like the core idea when they opened it, two guys, Ott and Märt, when they opened it, now there were 3 guys, but now it's just Ott and Märt. But when Põhjaka was open, was the idea was like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna grow our own stuff, or we're gonna talk to the people who grow their own stuff, and we're gonna make that food. So that was way before it was mainstream or cool or something like this. And I think I'm pretty sure there's been different restaurants in Estonia that have been doing this before that as well. So, but they're just not being like, they haven't advertised it as that, or maybe their focus isn't even on that, to advertise or to say it, just to make good food and people to be happy who visit. But to talk to see what's been happening in the last, like, let's say 4 years, more or less, because I left for like 4 years ago. And then it was just like kickstarting, like all these burger places and the street food thing was just like barely opening up. The first places were opening up, and it's gonna continue. Like there's no, like, when it opened up, it was like burgers, and it was like Georgian, and it was a little bit of Middle Eastern food. Now a couple of years it's been satay, like southeastern, like Thai cuisine and things like this. Next one that is popping up everywhere at the moment, as like when you walk around, you're gonna see it, is South American food, and not like Tex-Mex South American food like Mexican, but the proper, like not Texas American Mexican food, but like proper South American and Central American food. Everybody's doing their Mexican days, and everybody's doing their taco buffets and using chimichurri, and as I've been traveling South America, sometimes I'm looking like, it's not it. Like you can put a name on it, but like not really it. But the thing is that not a lot of Estonians have been to South America. A lot of Estonians have been to Southeast Asia, so they know what to expect already. Okay, not a lot of Estonians have been to South America, so they're really kind of new to this. But they're seeing that it's going to happen, and I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I can predict that the next thing that's going to hit the market after, like in, let's say, 2-3 years...
Irish food.
Oh, that healthy, garden-grown Irish food. Yeah,
maybe we're gonna start growing lambs, because like lambs are not really in Estonia at the moment. But Middle Eastern food, and again, not the kebab or Turkish food, but a lot more deeper, like more intuitive. Middle Eastern central
but that
food.
pattern is interesting, because like when I lived in Ireland, like when I was growing up, it was just the chippy, and you know, the local restaurants all had the same menu. But then as the years went on, there
mushy
was
peas
like
and fish and
mushy
chips,
peas, fish and chips, all that crap. But you did see waves of different cuisine coming in one after the other. And you know, for most of my teens, I was like, oh yeah, Middle Eastern food, fucking doner kebab, man.
Yeah.
And the last big wave was legit fucking like Middle Eastern grill houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully more kebab for us.
I'm good with it. Yeah, we've had that in Australia for a while. I guess we've already had some because Estonia's getting money now. Australia had money 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, like when we first started to get money.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Like, we've got a middle class and we've all bought a house and no one knows what to spend their money on. So now we want to be fancy. And it's at first it's fish and chips, but fancy in a nicer restaurant. But I'm still eating. Oh, you're eating fancy fish and chips, right?
Yeah.
But then eventually it rolls in.
But it seems to have happened so quickly here. Like the immigration
happens
thing just
quickly
happened like like shockingly quick. Maybe I've just lived in Paida for 5 years and only when I moved to Tallinn did I start seeing this stuff. But it seemed to be.
It's a small, just everything can roll out. Yeah.
Like not in last year, but even in last year and 2 years before that, like places were popping up like this.
Yeah, like the amount of Argentinians living in Tallinn at the moment is crazy.
Is there really?
Yeah,
I had no
loads of
idea. I only know the Argentinian restaurant. That's all I know about Argentina.
There's a good few of them around now.
Yeah, there's one in Kalamaja as well. Quite good
that's
one.
the guy who does the whole lamb.
Yeah.
weekend or
We never got onto that, did we?
Yeah, we should.
Right, because the best we've had is the Argentina Christmas several years ago, where we didn't give us enough
Argentina,
fries.
The steakhouse.
The steakhouse didn't give us enough fries, motherfucker.
They gave him one fry in a plate.
Oh no, that was like 3 Michelin star experience. One fry, fermented fry, but
with a little scrape of peas on the side.
Yeah, something like this.
Is there some a balance happening between great chefs and they know their food and all that, but there is still a marketing side. There is still we've got to present ourselves. How do we present the product? How do we present the restaurant? How do we present all of that? But
I was just, when he was talking about Põhjaka, like, it kind of speaks to, my ignorance anyway. I don't know about you, but I had no idea it was around for 12 years. And I lived next to it for
I guess that's kind of where I'm going with this balance between doing a great job, but then also there's a almost completely separate thing, which is the whole marketing and to tell everybody and to tell them enough, but not too much.
Yeah.
Because we have to be still well known, but still hip.
Like, I was having this conversation with Oit, like I think one of the guys from Põhjaka a couple of weeks ago, I think, and I found out that all the followers on Facebook are organically grown. Like they've never bought ads or something like this. But again, since Facebook started, I think, or a couple of years after that, they've been there. So. But at the same time, I have some friends and I have some chefs that I know that put a lot of effort and really, really good work in the marketing. Okay. Like how they present themselves, how they put their stories on Instagram, how they advertise themselves on Facebook, how they talk about it and things like this. And to make sure that the clients that they have, they will tag them, they will share and things like this. So. Yes, let's say it's 50-50. I don't think there are restaurants and there are people who really care about it, that the spread and the media presence is very strong. I think it is especially kind of relevant when you're in the city, when you have a lot of competition around things like this, and you have a lot of customers and clients who do their kind of, let's say, choices of where should I go out tonight based on social media, what they see on the Instagram and what their friends are following and things like this. But at the same time, there are a lot of places, I think, which don't put so much effort in it, which say that our goal is to make good food. That the customers who come in, have their meal, leave, are satisfied. That's it.
Have either of you read American Gods? No.
Yes.
No.
I think of it in the context of word of mouth to me is one of the most powerful marketing tools ever.
Yeah.
But Instagram has become the new god of word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because
so the new media god is kind of stepped in and things like this.
Because Instagram is the way to go, just from people taking photographs.
Sure. Okay.
That's the new word of mouth.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it easier somehow? Okay, I kind of see where this distinction you're coming from, that there's a countryside place that maybe can focus more on the quality, maybe higher end and then there's the place in the city. And certainly there are high end places in the city as well, but there's
they're mostly in the city.
Yeah, they're most in the city. It's like a higher pressure thing. turnover, pay that high rent, get on top of all the other big restaurants. Where it does seem like you can take a bit more time in the countryside. I don't know if it's strictly a rent issue that is the only issue.
I don't know. Like,
or is it an attitude?
To be honest, like I think the struggle is on both sides. Like in the city, it's like you have such a big competition. You have to be visible and things like this. But at the same time, in the countryside, you have to have clients coming in. So you have to, you're probably struggling for people coming in and doing that stop and thinking of you when they're driving down the highway to the countryside and being like, oh, I'm not going to go and have a dinner on countryside, although my grandmother has prepared something. We're going to go and pop in that restaurant and try something out. So I think it's the struggle is on the both sides. So yeah. But at the same time, like some people still like the old way of operating and saying like, we don't need the Instagram and the Facebook side of things. We're good and we're happy if our clients say to their friends like, oh yeah, you have to go down there. Or when, I don't know, we do a big travel out, we go to some new place with our friends, like a couple of cars, and somebody suggests, oh, we should go to that place to have a lunch. Then everybody of us steps out, we have lunch there, and then 10 new people know of that place, and then we going to go and tell our friends and things like this. Or because we are young and we're like Instagram savvy, social media savvy, we're gonna post our things there. So yeah, I have a lot of friends who before they start eating, first thing they do is take a picture and some of them are even like, stop, nobody's gonna eat first. We're gonna take a picture and then we're gonna eat.
Dude, it's the new praying. It's like we also just be like, no, don't eat. We have to pray.
Yeah, something like this.
You know, it's the new praying,
everybody
right?
touch hands. And
except the God that we're praying to is the algorithm. We're like, dear algorithm, please please bless this picture.
So let me have some likes and things like
with
this.
the correct hashtag. Please give me business. Oh, thank you. And the algorithm to me is the same as the God, because the God is also like, who knows how it works?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The algorithm.
You never have certainty. Is it going to trend or not?
The algorithm works in mysterious ways, much like God.
That is interesting, though. So, as a young chef, like I know it, like presentability and plating and everything is important, but does the grammability, the Instagrammability of a plate ever pop into your mind? Like, oh, I better I better make because the yellow has to be really yellow.
No, because first of all, the same with me. Like, if all the, let's say the high influencers or whatever, or visit Estonia, whoever you want to have the big reach to repost your things, they're gonna use their own filters. They're gonna retouch the photos. So there's like, if they think like, oh, this sauce is not yellow enough, they're gonna make it yellow enough. And the idea for the plating is that it has to look good for the person who gets the plate. Like it's not about, at least in my mind, it's not about like, if it looks good for the person live, say like who the plate is in front of, like if they're gonna take a picture, it's already
fucking
good
crazy idea that I wouldn't give a shit about online, and I would only think about how it looks to a person in real life. Unbelievable attitude in 2021. What are you thinking?
There's a whole subreddit called shit food porn.
I love that. I love that side. I love that side. Because sometimes you're like, yeah, but that's my favorite. Like some of the places that I've eaten in South America and in Central Asian and places like that, like those, like they don't give a damn like how their food looks. They because like they're, yes, the social media is there present as well, and you have the high class fancy places there as well. It's a little bit bigger topic, but the idea of street food that is in Estonia is not really, in my mind at least, the idea of street food as it is. Because if you go to the places where they have these, like, let's say Southeast Asia and South America, I can speak more
night markets and stuff.
Yeah, I can speak more from South America because I haven't been to Southeast Asia. Their street food means that you have this person who's pulling that cart or doing the food on the street for I don't know how many years. That's their income, or that's their second job that they do, and they provide food for the people who are either don't have enough time to cook their own food, or they don't have enough resources to buy food from the grocery store or go to the restaurants. So it is easy, very accessible, local food that is made there, and cheap. And it tastes freaking amazing. But it tastes freaking amazing because that person has been making it for X amount of years, or their grandmother has making, and then their mother has been making that, and then now they're making that. And it's kind of like, it doesn't matter how it looks on the plate, because it's usually like thrown together. Like it's cheap, it's fast, it's there, and people don't take photos of it. People eat it, and it's really, really good. Usually, sometimes it, like, yeah, there have been situations when you take a bite and you're like, no. Like, not that it doesn't taste good, but it's you understand something's very,
it's
very
not
off.
instantly, every poor food vendor in every third world country makes amazing shit. Sometimes it's not going to be great.
But I mean, the street food in Estonia is very much the concept of street food. You know
right,
what I mean?
But that's the focus. Like in Estonia, it's like the street food is pretty, it's quite expensive, to be honest. Like you're paying still €9 or 9 euros for a burger.
Regular meal cost.
You're paying €9 for your pelmen dumplings. You're paying €9 for your kebabs. That's not how it works there. Like that's not the essence of street food. This is pimped up street food. This is like,
so what
Platz was more street food than this. Like,
like our regular, like the Läga burger is our street food in a sense. Something like this. And but if you get
stop,
I was just about to say, like, if you get that really good bun and that really good salad, and I was like,
sauce
and that really delicious pink sauce, and it was like, when it hits you, like, you know, like, nah, that never happens. So yeah, but that's kind of the point. So
what would we call? I mean, I understand it. I think we all, probably everyone listening, intuitively understands what you're talking about. That this is not, when we go down to Viljandi Burger for our latest street food experience, this is not poor people on the street who will be making.
It doesn't
like
really have to be like. That's not the point. That's like our food culture, our society, our economy, like hasn't had the situation or hasn't grown in that way. So in a sense, it's really, really nice and grateful that our street food has had a different type of like evolution or things like this, that we really didn't have this need for that type of situation to happen. But at the same time, it is like, I don't know, westernized or something like this. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not here to say like it's good or bad, or that one is like you really have to keep the original going or something like this. Like, nah.
Sure.
But
where is it that in Estonia, let's say, there would be like an old lady cooking something? I don't know what it might be.
Like you have to go to I don't know, next to Babe, like everywhere. You go to next to Babesy during the summer on that Onion Road, and you have these local cafes and ladies selling the fish and onions and stews and things, and they're like pies and things like this. You go there, you do that.
Or like a festival, like in Turi we have the Lillelat every year.
Yeah, so
that's the
you have a
that's
lot.
where it's at.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so let's call it that. Our type of like street food is basically like festival food, let's say, like this, or like market food and things like this. So that's where you get this like, let's say, like the OG Estonian street food things. So you go to the islands, you go to the guy who's walking the harbor, and he has this salted or cured or smoked fish, like that's his thing. You go to Ida-Virumaa, you have these fish soups and buns and pies and so you get that. And I think, even in Balti Jaam, you have this, where all the street, like where the cheese place is. So behind that, there's these old ladies who's selling the rosolja and potato salads and these pies or fillings fried in oil and things like this. Yeah. That's our stuff. So
it's kind of sad to me because, like, in Ireland, it's the same thing. Like, you have indoor sit-down restaurants that will have street food in the name. And, when I was younger, we did have actual stalls. We can go buy periwinkles or, smoked fish and shit. It's all gone now. It's all like,
I mean, I guess, how does it work? How would it work in a industrialized, trying to be middle class kind of society like Estonia is, but there's a poor person or an old person who's still cooking. Like it doesn't sort of fit with the rest of society.
We won't really buy from that because you can look around, like even in Tallinn when like Old Town was open and you had tourists coming in. You had people walking around with that type of stuff, but it's not really inherently in the culture of buying things from the street.
Sure.
It used to be, I think, more in Soviet times, but not anymore. Like in Southeast Asia, in South America, and those places where street food is really, really in, or part of the everyday routine or everyday culture, it's not just street food. You will go around and people will sell you toilet paper on the street. People will sell you apples. People will sell you toothbrushes. People will sell everything on the street. And in the beginning, I was really surprised. Like there was this guy walking around with a crate full of sills, and I was like, "Who the hell buys sills on the streets?"
Like windowsills.
No, like sifters, like
sieve.
Yeah, sieves.
Sieves.
Yeah,
I was like, who the hell buys sieves from the street?
Yeah, okay.
And then we did a round around the church, and then there was like 4 or 5 people around him. I was like, huh? I guess I'm wrong. Like people will buy, like there the culture is that I will drive home on my car, in my car, and the guy will knock on my window and say like, oh, would you like to buy toilet paper? And you're like, yeah, of course. I don't have to go to the shop. I need some toilet paper. You'll buy it from him, and then you'll drive on. And you'll buy everything on the street. And there are guys who are walking around with cigarette packs, some chocolates, some peanuts, whatever. And it's the street market or street vending and things like this that is happening. And street food is part of that. In Estonia, we don't have that. You won't buy a toothbrush from a random guy who's walking next to you in Baltiam. Hey, guy, would you?
Yeah.
I have some knives. Would you like to buy some knives? And you're like, no, this is weird. Maybe I should call the police or something like this. So you used to have that.
But in Estonia, do you still have shop trucks that would go from village to village? Mobile shops that would just show up in a truck and then...
Now you have Selver that's driving around.
Yeah, I was going to say not anymore, but was that a thing in Estonia?
Yeah, I think it was,
okay,
sure.
that
all
someone
the
would just have stuff.
Yeah,
Right,
we used to have
stuff.
the what we call like a putka, like a small kiosk that was selling a lot of different stuff, starting from bread. Like it was early 90s or throughout
So
the 90s.
early independence days.
Yeah, like
Right,
because
okay.
they're from Soviet times. Like you would have like places. I remember from childhood, you can buy like gum, breads, like all the kind of the necessities that you needed for a day. You can buy from there, and they used to be all around the place, like in these like Lasnamäe, Arnavin type of places. So yeah.
It still happens in like the provinces in Belarus and Ukraine and stuff.
Sure.
So.
As we grow up, somehow we want to be Nordic and we want to be normal. And I don't know, that we don't have this. We quickly got out of this culture of street
But
stuff.
it also helps that Estonia is really small as well. You know,
Yeah.
you look at a massive country like Belarus or Ukraine, then it's a necessity in small villages. You know,
Plus the idea that the income of the level of living is kind of like equal. Let's say like this. We don't have like of course we have like our poor and we have our rich, but the majority of people will still land somewhere in the middle. But in the places like South America, Southeast Asia, and places like that, you have a lot of people who land in the bottom half, and that's where you get the cheap price. That's where you get these like situations or
does law make a difference to this? Because maybe there's some law that says, okay, you can't be fucking peddling.
Oh yeah,
some
like in
food out
Estonia, like the European
thing.
laws came in. They were like, oh, you can't, like you kind of have to close down the corner shops. Like we used to have a lot of corner shops. Every kind of like a city block used to have their own corner shop. Like in like I don't know, in Kassisaba, for instance, you still have Kassisaba pood, for instance. And in Tartu, in Supilin, you have the what do you call it, the main street hernepood, for instance, and things like this.
So around the corner for me, I seek out these places because there's a tiny shop called Ristikupood,
Okay.
Yeah.
around the corner for me, and I'm like, that's my. I'm
Yeah.
going in
That's
there.
where you
Yeah,
go.
don't
And then you go
wanna-
in there, and all the fridges are turned off, and you get a cold drink. You're like,
So, oh, even in here, like next to Telliskivi, you just walk up like half a block
Down the
towards
steps, right?
towards the exactly
Yeah,
down the steps,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's the Telliskivi board. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So you used to have a lot of those type of shops as well, but then the new laws came in, and they were like most of them closed down because they couldn't handle or they couldn't fill some regulations here and there.
And then at the same time, we've got these massive supermarkets
Yeah,
that
exactly.
are just
Yeah.
steamrollering
Yeah.
everything.
In South America again, you have like these like loads of small corner shops and things like this, like local. Like the family lives upstairs, the shop is downstairs, and they sell everything. So yeah. Or I don't know, somebody lives in the countryside, they bring in fresh produce or vegetables or fruits and things like this, and they sell them on the street. So yeah. That's how
Yeah,
it
those
goes.
small shops, they'll be, all of them will be gone eventually. You know?
Yeah.
And it's interesting
I
now
hope not.
because-
They've been coming back a little bit
Have
because because people again, it's something that I think like to talk about like let's say something that is a little bit different between South America and Estonia again is the idea of the community of the area that you're living in. Like in Tallinn, for instance, you have Kalamaja and Telliskivi and Pelgulinna. There you can feel it a little bit, especially in Kalamaja, like or Uus-Ameerika, for instance, Uus Maailm. But in South America, like in the big cities, you have these blocks and everybody knows everybody. Like you go into these small corner shops and you see these guys watching football and they're talking to the owner and they like everybody knows everybody. So that is something that unites the local area. So people have been understanding, or let's say like in Estonia, in some hip places, more and more people have understood that. So that's why they're trying to bring back, or let's say, not lose all these corner shops. Like in Tartu, I can't really speak that much about Tallinn because I haven't been living here for so long. But in Tartu, I know that Hernepood, like nobody in Supilin wants it to be gone because everybody knows like that's the shop to go to. The next shop is pretty far away, and it has been there for like 10 plus years, like even more than that. I don't know.
That's why your experience, I think, is really unique because you've spent all this time in South America learning about this thing that we've just been talking about for the last 10 minutes, right? This style of shopping. But then you've also spent a lot of time in the Nordics, where if you want to say Norway and Sweden is the model for where Estonia is going to go one day. And they're even more and more like big shop, just an Ica.
That's the funny thing. Not really.
Okay, tell us.
There they have these huge vending like shops or like these huge markets like IKEA. Like you walk, they have this big IKEA and it's like a small village.
It's 17 football fields
It
across.
is ridiculous,
Right,
yeah. But then again, in that small village, Luen, you have this couple of shops, and that has been run by this family for 100 years, like, and it's still there, and everybody goes there. So in in the smaller places, you have all these small, like you have a local baker, you have a local auto repairman, you have this local shop, you have a local postman. Everything is super scaled down and small, and everybody knows everybody. And then in the bigger cities, or not even in the city, but on the border of the cities, you have these huge malls and shops and things like this.
Right.
It's like my parents' village in the west of Ireland. Like this is a hack joke, but there's truth behind it. So the COVID-19 pandemic killed our local baker.
Yeah.
Killed our local butcher. So the butcher's dead, the baker's dead. But the fucking candlestick maker's still alive. He's still there making candles. He's probably trembling for his life.
He's like, I'm next.
Give me the vaccine, the COVID, Sputnik, China. I don't give a shit.
But it's the same like in towns and cities there. You have massive
Maybe he didn't have that many clients. So butcher and the baker.
Yeah, that's it. This is a fucking game of Cluedo all of a sudden. Jesus, buy the candle. Not with the candlestick, buy the candlestick maker.
My mother was telling me the story on the phone and she sounded a bit upset and I was just trying not to laugh. Is Jimmy still alive? Oh, he's alive.
So there's like almost some wave of community that happens, right? So let's say Estonia. So yeah, at first after independence, okay, even in Soviet days, we're keeping it local, we're keeping it real because that's what we had to do. But then, okay, we have seen the explosion of the middle class. And the middle class said, no, I want to go to Prisma. I want to go to the biggest Selva that there possibly is. And I'm going to drive with this new car that I bought with the Swedbank loan. And I'm going to fucking see my Apollo in Mustamai because I can drive and there's a big ass car park and I'm going to go there. So you get that rise of the middle class. But what we're seeing is that sort of flips around, that roller coaster goes up. And then, because then you say, well, the local store in that scenario, the local store just can't compete with the Selva, with the Apollo, with all of that. And that's the classic story that maybe let's say if we were going through in Estonia, and then it flips around that people get enough money that they now want that local experience back again. And that local store can actually get enough money from people to survive when it goes full circle again. And we go like, no, I want that local store.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the farm to table thing. Like that's sweeping my country anyway. So. And I mean, it was unheard of back in the day because no one had money to just set up a restaurant in the countryside and have a farm, butcher your own animals and cook food from your own produce and stuff. But now, because there was this big middle class explosion, people had money, and then it came back around again.
Right, they can do it again.
Yeah.
So there's hope here in Estonia. All the old ladies will be, or some hipster guy at least will be serving us something in our local.
You calling him a hipster guy now?
Yeah. Kinda. But no, I think like it's being like the change with the generation as well. Like the idea, the change that came with the big stores and things like this. I think it was because of one of the reasons was also because everybody looked like, oh, that's what kind of is happening in the West. Like you have these big supermarkets, like you can buy everything from there. You can go there, you can spend like 4 or 5 hours. You can eat, you can shop, you can have your local entertainment there. Like everything's there in one place. And then at one point people realized like, nah, maybe I don't want everything to be in one place. Maybe I don't want this huge, like there's a lot of people walking around. There's like a lot of noise and things like this happening as well. Like maybe I like my small walks. Maybe I want not everything to drive some place like an hour or 45 minutes or things like this, then spend huge times queuing up to something else, but have everything in a smaller scale, nearby, and talk to the people that I know. So yeah.
I mean, it's happening a lot here. Like I said, the factory across the way from me, that's being turned into a little district. You have that the very, very top of Copley. What's that area called? Where?
Paljassaar.
No, but the little road. The Baltic is on that little area.
Oh, okay. So if you go deep into Copley, deep Copley.
Yeah. You mean the Professorite Küla or something like this?
Well, if you go past the Maxima and the park, and you keep going through Copley and Botic's down there, and at the very end is the ship company or whoever the hell they are, the BLSR or whatever.
So that's next to the Professorite Küla, I think. Yeah. Okay. So they're building up that one as well.
Yeah.
Just keep talking.
Yeah.
Like Teleskivi was just, and I Teleskivi surprised me because I'm not a big fan of Tallinn, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
So that's why I stayed in Paide so much. And
okay. I didn't have that problem. Like a lot of people ask me, and a lot of people that I know from Tartu, who have been living in Tartu or from Tallinn, who have moved to Tartu, have always have asked me about like this dichotomy between Tartu and Tallinn. Like, are you for Tartu? Are you for Tallinn? Or how do you like in Tallinn as from being from Tartu?
Yeah.
And I've never had problem with that. I'm like, I like Tallinn.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I consider still Tartu to be my hometown, and I really love going back there all the time. But now my life is in Tallinn, and I don't have a problem with that.
It's a completely different place from Tallinn.
Oh yeah, the mentality and the vibe and the lifestyle and things like this. Shit,
second cities are usually just little brothers of the capital cities, but Tartu is just
completely different. Yeah. So yeah, I don't really. But what I'm really happy about is that when I came back after being away for quite many years, I was like, when I left, I felt like Tartu was a little bit in a slump, in a creative slump of not knowing where to go next or what they want to be, besides being a university city or university town, or like, let's say, the cultural capital. Because even with the cultural thing, it was like, okay, we have Vanamäe, we have like ERM was just being built, and it was like, yes, but a lot of culture is still in Tartu. When you go Tallinn, when you think about the big concerts or the big exhibitions happening, it's in Tallinn. It's not in Tartu, so it's not really that. So, but after being after I returned, I saw there was a big difference in Tartu in the vibe and in the new things that were happening there, which was very, very nice. Especially considering the river and the new buildings and that are happening there, and during the summer there was the idea like Tartu was empty. I remember working in Möku when I was like some really hot June days. or July. I was like, there's nobody in the city. I know there's nobody in the city because Tartu is empty. Tartu has always been empty during the summer. Yeah. And now it's full. Yeah. Now there's a lot of people, there's a lot of things happening, things like this.
Well, when I say that I'm not a big fan of Tallinn, it's nothing to do with the city itself. Like, I mean, it's all right. I mean, it's, everything's here and whatever. I just don't like big
cities.
Well, Tallinn is
not a big city. Yeah.
Estonian people.
I don't like urban areas.
Estonian people listen to this and be like, "Oh, he doesn't like Tallinn. Fuck you." But he said big city, so okay.
Yeah, but then when I tell someone, "Oh yeah, I live in Paide," they're like, "Oh my god."
How do you survive in such a small place? But then now I've been living nearby, even in a small place, in just one house next to a field. I've been a couple of times to Paide, and I really like it. It's small, it's comfortable, it's really nice. It has wooden houses. It has a big citadel in the middle of it, and
because there's no central. Even on the flip side of this story was even today we were talking about some of the marketing strategies that we're going to do for Ari Mati's tour, and we were just we're going to buy these ad and that ad, and one of them was like, "Oh, we're buying indoor screens in Paide." And my first thought was, what fucking screens are you buying?
I have to look at his face in Paide.
Where? What inside is there? What mall is there? What, the two that are in Selvar? What? That's it. That's it. What?
Maybe that's kind of it. Yeah. Because silver is the most digitally high class.
Advanced. There's no mall or other place that we might mill around in Paide.
Maxi Market.
On this big tower next to the old citadel, just put Ari might just like the dancing pose there, and, the whole thing. And there you go.
He'll sell out. He doesn't need any fucking.
We'll work it out. It's all about toilet time. Nice. Yep, go out there down the end towards the light.
Well, I know what you mean, Lewis. Estonians are like, he's gonna be fuck that guy. You move back to Ireland, then you can't. But it's just an urban thing,
Yeah, sure. But that's your cred. That's always been your cred. Like, motherfucker, Paide.
But I mean, you see, I grew up in a town in Ireland that's similar in population and size to Paide, and I fucking I hated it there as well. Because we'd spend Sundays out in where my parents live now in Ballyhaig on the family farm, and it was glorious. Yeah. And my brother fucking hated it. He wanted to get away from there. He even used to injure himself to go home. Like he'd just jump off a roof and hope that he fucking scrapes his leg or something. Because he really didn't want to be there. Now he's fucking living near Dublin and he hates it and he wants to go to the countryside again. I'm like, you motherfucker, I was telling you how great this stuff was years ago when we were kids.
You can't know when you're a kid. Like, I also ran away from a small town, okay, blah, blah, looks like home and away.
Ran away from paradise.
From fucking paradise, exactly.
Paradise.
And now I live in Lagri. But there is that, I don't know. You gotta go and then see how good it is. But I do wonder, how did I end up, even in Tallinn is a small town where when I was 17, I idolized the city. I still love the city, but I don't know, somehow I never settled in the big city. I'm living quite a nice Lagri lifestyle, I guess.
Lagri's
doing that Lagri thing. Lagri's nice, but I miss deeply the energy of a big city. The action and energy. Yeah. You know me. That's fucking where I'm at.
I just want to sleep. That's all I want to do. And I've come to the conclusion that I have to move out of that apartment in Manufacturi.
Yeah?
It's just not good for me. It's not healthy.
Wait, is it the guests that too often come over or something else?
No, it's just like, because I knew this would happen. Living in a city brings like way more drinking, way more being around people. I just want to go to the countryside again. You know?
Okay, and be alone.
So yeah, I by the end of the year, I'll be out of there, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll do a summer there.
Yeah,
I
sure.
just spent fucking €200 on balcony furniture. So
Yeah, sure. So we're still having a good summer. So we're still
Yeah.
kicking on. And
I'll be there
everything's
for
up.
winter as well. But I don't know. I just, the last few weeks have been a bit like, I gotta fucking get out of this.
You feel
place.
discontented in the city, do you?
No. Just because I spent like 4 straight months away from Paida. And in the last few weeks, I've been back there, and I'm like, oh yeah.
This is
This is
salt
where
of
I
the
belong.
earth.
I met a 14-year-old. What was he? Some kid walking around Paida at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Say man. You
Man.
you dirty Brazilian football
No.
coach.
I was just I was scooting around. I was scooting around Paida at 2 o'clock in the morning because I just couldn't sleep or whatever. And some young fella was walking past, and he said something to me in Estonian, and I said, "Oh, sorry, kasaragi ding He was like, "Yeah, how was your night going, my friend?" And I was like, "All right." So I stopped and I talked to him, and he's just this 14-year-old botanist or horticulturalist kid studying horticulture
14.
from
Jesus.
Rosna Aliku. Yeah.
Huh.
And I just stood there chatting with him for like an hour, and I was like, this wouldn't happen in Tallinn, you know?
Okay. You need those social interactions. I mean, they do happen a bit, but not
The odd
enough.
one, like the odd ones,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
like randomly met a bald Irishman in Niana in Paida, which is a lovely little tavern that
Niana. What is
Niana,
this?
yeah.
Is
It's
it new? I
Oh,
don't know.
Niana. Okay.
Yeah.
Niana.
If
I've never
you
heard of
visit
it. In
that.
Paide. What is it?
Yeah, it's like it's a tiny little wooden house, and it's run by this Romanian family who lives in the same building as me, actually, and they just make haklia kasta with boiled potatoes and schnitzel and
Good
it's just
shit.
a little tavern. It's fucking like €1.80 for a plate of haklia kasta.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, I used to go there every day. But, you know, it's stuff like that.
Is
That's
there
why-
is their apartment where they live owned by Reiner as well?
Right,
Is he everybody?
maybe.
He's
Maybe.
everyone's
Maybe,
fucking
yeah.
landlord there.
Speaking of Reiner, actually, the place used to do shows in Paida. The what was it called? The
Wabad
Vabalinamaya.
Vabalinamai, yeah.
That had a massive restoration recently. I don't know what's going in there, but it looks like fancy and
Okay.
you know.
Convince the guys to do Paide comedy night just for the good old days.
Why
Just-
not? I mean, why not?
Maybe before, well, you're going to go back there. So,
Yeah.
maybe in the winter or
'Cause I
something,
mean,
it's time
like,
to do a Vabalina.
because of this new extension of the road from Vibu to Mao, they're advertising Paida as like the new VMC. You know, like you're only going to be like 40 minutes
New
away.
Beams is
It is
also
much
like,
closer,
it's
yeah.
like, what?
I know, yeah. But like, so it's going to be, they're marketing Paida as this new place to commute from.
Right.
So do shows. down
There's not enough square houses to be the new VMC. Okay.
Well, there's
Your
a lot of
houses,
construction at the moment. So
Okay, it's all going on in
It's all
Paide.
going on in Paide,
right.
yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about how much you hate Tallinn.
Oh yeah. Nah, it's just an urban thing. I don't. I belong in the countryside.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the third cook who started Põhjaka. It was Ott, Märt, and Joel. I just forgot in the beginning. So yeah.
Okay. That must be a big thing to keep that going for 12 years, and especially when there's such a turnover. I mean, to keep chefs for a long time and to keep them there and to keep that consistent.
No, the team has been changing constantly. Like the core now, like the core 2 guys who have been there is Joa with Märt and Ott. They've been there since the beginning, but everybody else is kind of like come and gone. There are a couple of people who still show up and do a couple of days here and there, or sometimes a year or something like this. But other than them two, I don't think.
Which seems to be the way of restaurants. It seems to be sort of very common that
Yeah.
people come and go. And
I think it's the change in workplace mentality, or kind of how people work in general, like in past maybe decade or something like this. I don't know exactly, but it used to be like you would go into a firm or you would take a job and then you would grind that out till the rest of your days, like until you hit pension. That's it. Now it's like whichever creative environments or firm you're working in, it doesn't matter if you're a designer, if you're a lawyer, or you're a chef or whoever, I guess, is you're doing the 3 years and you're like, I need some change. I need to go and change the environment so I won't get stuck in one place and things like this. And at least that's what I kind of feel my generation or my friends
3 years sounds like a friggin' lifetime.
You're like, let's do a year. I will commit to your business, to your work, to this job for a year. But at the same time, if you're a business owner and you're like, a person is like, I'll come and work for you for a year, you're like, that's not enough.
As the only business owner, I think that's just what you got to deal with. That's how it is. Like a year. This is cool.
Yeah.
Like, great. Now, obviously, I want you for more than a year.
Yeah.
But then the job is on me to not just be a piece of shit and be like, why did you fucking leave after? It'd be like, no, how am I going to keep you here? How am I going to keep you into what I'm doing?
You know what I heard? There's new type of contracts now. It used to be that the contract that you're going to sign for a new work, whatever you're going to do, is the place is going to give you 3 months of like a training or something like this, or the tryout time, let's say it like this. And after that, they're going to make a decision whether they're going to keep you or not. Now it's flipped. Like I heard, I know that there are a couple of contracts where people sign and they say that you have to work for us for a year. You can't leave before that.
Right.
And you're like,
there's a break of penalty contract.
But in the beginning, you have to pay a fine if you want to leave, and you lose the benefits of something like this. It used to be that, like, the tryout time wasn't only for a company to see if you're enough for them, they're gonna hire you, but it used to also be for the employee to see if they want to work there, and then they're gonna, like, after 3 months maybe they're like, nah, I don't want to work here, I'm gonna leave. Now you can't do that. Now you're tied with the contract for a year.
We had a thing with Comedy Estonia that I didn't meet this person, but I was informed of it, that a young guy came to Comedy Estonia and said, hey, I want to do the internship. Here's what I can do. And we were like, oh. Well, thanks to the change in management, the new management said, yes, that's a good idea, because old management, vis-a-vis me, would have been like, nah, fuck off. I don't give a shit. But, now that we have proper management who are thinking of these things, said, yes, that's a good idea. And they talked and we kind of had a plan. And then it turns out, like, we got the word even a couple of, like, he was ready to go. And then we got the word a couple of days ago, like, he's not coming because he got a job. Like, he got a proper paid thing. And it's not like, we were offering him no money as a slave or something. He came to us and said, I want to be the intern. And we went, okay, sure. That sounds like a good idea. And he says, like, no, all my internships are off now. I got a paid job. I'm sure he's not doing this to us, but, and I don't even take it as a bad thing, just more of an indicative thing of society now, that it can all be set up and it's all good, but then it's like, sorry, I got a paid
something
job.
Better comes along.
Something better came along. Yeah, I'm like, all right. I guess
it's what got a lot of young people off the dole, the social welfare in Ireland. They came out with this. They didn't call it internships, but it was like, work for nothing. But it will give you.
Internship sounds better.
Yeah, I know. That might have been what it was called. Work for nothing ends at the end. But so you have something to put on a CV and show an employer. It's a good thing.
That's when they ask you, like, we need a new person in our team who has been like for a really, really kind of like let's say starting out job, but we need 4 years of experience and 5 years of working with these things, and you're like, I just came out of like bachelor's. What the hell is going on?
Right. So, I was annoyed. I was probably annoyed with this guy for about 4.5 seconds.
Yeah.
The initial, like, what?
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, I get it.
Sure, he's getting paid now.
Yeah. That's how every barman in Ireland gets their job. They just go to a bar and say, look, I'll pick glasses for free. You have to pay me shit. I'll pick up the glasses, and then they eventually.
Because then you're in, and you're the guy there. Hey, we need you to do something. We need okay, that you.
But isn't that the same thing with the stand-up comedy? You just walk in different bars, and you're like, I just need 2 minutes. I just need 5 minutes. Just give me the 5 minutes. I'll pick up the glasses later. I'll do whatever, you know. Yeah.
With the stand-up comedy, Kristjan, you've been away for a long time.
Oh,
we
shit.
don't.
Parallels between comedy and so many other industries. To me, I see a lot of them lately.
Okay.
Like, especially, for example, like OnlyFans. You know, that
Okay.
type of thing.
I like how you do it.
Very similar.
OnlyFans.
Well, because it's
This is
like,
turned into
I haven't watched
ASMR.
it, but you know.
I've heard that it happens.
Look at my bank statements, man. No, but you know what I mean. It's the hustle, and you start from nothing, and
Okay.
you know you have these talents that you have. That you know, and the market is saturated, and you just need that little thing to.
You need to find that niche.
That niche.
Yeah.
We should stream Kristjan's kitchen. That's the next
It's very
Twitch.
chill.
He sounds very busy though.
Yeah, but that's it.
Very
That's all you
chill.
want to see. Yeah. It could be like, do you need to be a Gordon Ramsay yelling at everybody to be a famous
No,
chef?
I've been working with people who have been throwing things around and like the old school chefs, you know, like if it's not my way and then it's highway and get out of the kitchen, leave your apron and things like this. But it's never good.
It doesn't seem like a long-term strategy,
I've
even
seen-
though we see it everywhere on all TV.
I've worked with people who have sent other workers to hospital, not because of the physical thing, because of the mental thing that like gave them like what you call it, not like basically like when you break down.
Yeah,
just like
mental breakdown. Like it
mental
does seem like
breakdown,
like cooking is one of the last bastions of where you can, for
Yeah,
some
but it-
reason,
it
be a
doesn't-
crazy person.
Yeah, but it doesn't work.
Doesn't work,
Like it
right.
shouldn't
Because the
work.
kitchen it's a high pressure environment anyway.
Yeah, it's
And
high
then when you
pressure.
have a crazy.
You have
fucking chef,
high pressure, like physical labor. It's super hot there. It's just like it's hot. It's humid. You have no air.
have to work
Like
fast
it's high stress. As soon as that first check hits the pass, whatever, the timer starts and you're always working under pressure. So because all the foods need to get out in the right time and things like this, and that's. There are some people, the certain type of personality, when pressure hits on, then the worst comes out. And there are some personalities that the only way they can keep the order or work and kind of handle the place is when they stomp on everything. And that's not good. That doesn't get you anywhere, because it might work one day, it might work a week, it might work a month, but at one point everybody's like, this is enough. And if you send people to hospital because of things like this, you ruin their physical and mental health because of some kind of work, and because of people who are sitting behind the table. Okay, they're paying money and they want some kind of service and they want to eat, but they can wait for another 5 minutes. They can handle that the plate that comes to them is maybe not as high, and they say like, it wasn't as good as it could have been, or things like this. They can handle that. They send it down back, and then they're gonna wait for another. But if you send a person to the hospital and they get like a lasting mental freaking problem, that is not just not cool. That's fucking criminal.
Yeah.
So yeah, and in general, I feel that these kitchens, having worked in these kitchens before, like. You have to enjoy what you're doing. If you want to do it for a long time, you have to enjoy what you're doing. Like, it might be high stress, it might be really, really taxing and physically and emotionally kind of like stressed or whatever. But the core essence is that you have to like what you're doing and where you're doing it. And if you have these type of people around you, and in the end of the day or before you go to work, you're gonna have a 5-minute cry in the shower, like.
Have you worked for
cried in the shower?
Have you had some experience? Not just crying in the shower. I mean, that's every day for Tim and I. But but have you had one of these high pressure chefs who has been like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and this is interesting because this is real. This is no longer just a Gordon Ramsay TV show, you know, that's all blah, blah, for the TV, but it's actually like a difficult place to work with, and you know, they get yelled at and.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make you better, right? It almost makes you make more mistakes when you're being yelled at, right?
so and so. Like it depends.
So you're saying it can be effective then?
It can be effective for a very, very short period of time.
You're only saying that, Tim, because you're white.
I'm not white. I was informed 2 days ago that I'm not white by an Australian friend of mine.
Really?
Yeah.
So, fucking mate, you're
Black
not
Irish.
white. You're fucking Irish. You're not white. Anyway, so there's something to be said for the learning and for the pressure environments. Yeah. Okay.
So let's say like this: the person who I was working for, he was an excellent chef, and like he didn't start out like starting yelling at you immediately. Like he would take time. Like this first time, he would set you some kind of a task, and you would like, I don't know how to do it. He would explain it everything to you step by step, and he would expect you to remember it and to next time when you got the task, deliver it. But I haven't worked in the kitchen before. I haven't had the education or whatever. So next time I was doing it from the memory. And maybe next time was like 3 weeks later. Yeah. I don't remember how to do it. So exactly. So he was there yelling his ass off, throwing my cutting board around and things like this. So I started all over again. One time we were plating and he's like, count every potato. We're plating for 500 people. They're like 1,000 potatoes there, and I have to keep count. He's like, how many potatoes are left? I'm like, 648. So again, like that was effective for a short period of time, and in a sense he was the first like chef I was working under, and he taught me a lot, but at the same time I'm the person who can handle a lot of pressure and things like this. There were people who couldn't, and there were days where I was like, maybe I need to go to the freezer and cool down a little bit, something like this. So, and in the end he got fired. So it didn't really work out.
Well, like just to offer another anecdote, like I always wanted to be a chef when I was a kid, right? So when I was 14, the first job I ever had, my mother got me a job with this private chef who lived in the same row of houses we did. And the job we did was for some private party out in the countryside somewhere. And my only job was to set up his mise en place for him.
Yeah.
And to basically just chop cucumbers for like 2 hours. And he would just come in every now and then and he would check the fucking width of the cucumber slices. And 14-year-old little insecure Tim was like trembling. My hand, I got terrified, and I thought, look, whatever, you're getting paid for it. This is just how things are. You'll be a great chef one day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like after everything was done, we were like, right, we're gonna get paid now. And he came in and he just fucking yelled at me and the other guy for just shitty chopping skills. I'd never fucking chopped anything in my life. I just learned how to cook. Should
have gotten a mandolin, just like a slicer. Everything
had to be done with knives.
Handicraft. That's another thing that's popping out, like handicraft.
I was a 14-year-old kid, right? And I had to sharpen his knives. And he gave me a sharpening stick.
Yeah.
I'd never.
But that's the thing. Like when you're you have your own set of knives, you never give them to somebody else to sharpen. 14, and especially a 14-year-old kid who hasn't sharpened knives.
Exactly.
Before. You're like,
you're the idiot.
Here's $1,000 worth of knives. Sharpen them.
And that put me off it. I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
So you've got
doing this again.
You've got these situations where I think maybe chefing may be a unique thing, where the head creative person, like the head chef, let's say, they are the head creative. They have the big ideas. They know how they want their kitchen to be run. They are the creativity, but they're also the leader of all of these people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know how chefs should be, but like usually if there's a head creative in most other industries, they are abstracted away almost from the leadership part. Like leadership and mentorship is very different to being a head creative in something. If I'm a head creative of something, I don't really want to be dealing with the day-to-day bullshit, the day-to-day ins and outs.
Yeah.
But a head chef is intimately involved in that.
It depends. I think there are head chefs who are intimately they're hands-on. They will go and check everything that goes out that evening. Okay. Oh, they are there every day all the hours checking on, maybe even doing like cutting and prepping and doing everything that everybody else is doing. In addition to answering the mails and doing and ordering and plating and welcoming the guests and everything like this. Then there are chefs who leave everything for the team. So they will create the menu. They will be like, here's what I want you to do. Here's how I want you to do it. Maybe they will even make a plate for everybody to see how it should be, taste everything, and then they're like, it's your job now. Then we'll go to the office and be in the fronts and answer the mails and orders and things like this. So it all depends on the chef itself, like how they're doing and what is their approach and things like this. But I don't think it's only in the kitchen industry or in the cooking industry. I think, like, for instance, the first thing that popped into my mind was like clothing. Like you have this the lead designer or what do you call them, and they are there like Armani's and not even like so high like in Dior or something like this. But you will have in every brand you will have this main person who will like art director, let's call him like that, who will be responsible for everything that goes out. And they are like, some of them, again, here's a sketch, do it, here are the materials, I want you to do it. Some of them are like intimately like touching everything, saying like, this is good, this is bad, this you have to do again, and things like this. So I think it's with the personality.
That also, you know, when I was ranting onto you about that, fashion also came to my mind. Exactly the example you said. And fashion is something that I have dealt with a bit over the years. I've worked with different fashion houses at first.
Can't tell by looking at you, but
Exactly.
Hey, Reagan Bush.
I don't want your fucking fashion advice, but I've worked, like I was helping Baltica like 5 years ago with how to do presentations. I've worked in the ECA, in the art academy. I actually taught some fashion students how to give a bit of presentation, because internally in a fashion house, the designers have to pitch to the store managers. Because the store manager doesn't just get given, you know, here's your 1,700 skirts or whatever, right? They kind of, we like those skirts, we like that top, we like that. So the designers have to sort of pitch internally. And I was helping designers learn how to pitch so they could pitch to store managers. And something about it, that same thing happens in fashion too. There's, I'm the head designer, I'm the main one. And for some reason, they're the focus of everything, but they're incredibly creative, incredibly, but not very good at leadership. Often not very good at learning how to work with people. They know what they want, but they're put in this weird, odd, creative / leadership role. And I wish my friend Piret was here, who is his head of fashion at ECA, could tell more about this. Because I was wondering, having so many friends who work in fashion, they always seem to be working at the last minute. And they're always like, we just did 3 days, all-nighters to get the fashion show done. And I'd be like, okay, that's cool, but you know, maybe if you just planned a little bit ahead, you could have just had a week of work and you didn't have to do it overnight, and you could have just done 8 hours a day. And for so long, I was just like, why? Why? And then I watched like documentaries and I talked to more fashion designers, and it just seemed, I watched that Halston thing on Netflix. You should watch it. It's good. Every fashion designer I ever heard about works crazy at the last minute, intensely. There's tears. There's things being thrown around the place. And I just understood eventually, that's just how they are. That's just how fashion is.
Sounds like I'm a fashion designer then, because I leave everything to the last minute. So.
And it's this intense work done at the last moment. And it does seem a little bit like chefing and cooking is. Sorry, I don't mean to use cooking like you're a cook. Sorry, being a chef.
No, it's like doesn't really make a difference.
I feel like cooking is more dignified. You're cooking. You're like you're chefing. Sorry, you're chefing. Sorry, chefing is something like that again. Like there could be a way to do it, but it's something about the creativity that's bam in the last moment.
Yeah, like think about catering and things like this. It usually kind of falls into the I will plan everything ahead or prep everything ahead, and then like last minute you're again like, so many things left undone, and then you're just like,
I mean, you remember
let's pull another all-nighter or something like this.
you remember the podcast we did with Paul Senosi?
Right.
After the podcast ended, he checks his phone and he's like, "Fuck." I won't say the name of the company. He didn't show up.
Wait, is he the guy, the
South African bloke,
the pie guy, South African pie guy? Yeah, I've been talking to him like in Põhjaka every time. He's making awesome pies, and he was saying that during the summer he wants to open like a barbecue place, South American barbecue place.
The weird thing is, he was supposed to open on May 23rd.
Yeah,
and the weather was shit for like 2 weeks straight. But the weather's good now, and he hasn't opened yet. So
Well, wait, we don't know. We got to call Paul.
Are you hungry for it? You're like, what's happening?
The thing about Paul was he had already made like a few days worth of.
That's the thing with the catering and with the food in general. Like, I think Sander was talking about it when he had his munchies.
The food van.
Food van. Yeah, he was like, I made we were booked for a festival and we made this like ton of mincemeat to make burgers from, and then we went to the festival. The weather was shit. Nobody showed up. We have this huge amount of produce left. What the hell are we gonna do with it? Yeah. And that's always the risk of doing the caterings, even if it's the last minute or whatever. So yeah, like the leftover and the planning and things like this. So yeah, there's always a little bit of like a risk or things about around there. But that's also the point of like the creativity of being a cook, that you have all of this leftover things that you wanted to use for thing A, burgers. Now you don't have burgers, you have a lot of things left over. What can you do with it, and where you can sell it? So the more of the creativity comes in of what you can do with it, what type of food you can still pull off as well, it's good, because otherwise it just lost money and nobody wants to lose money. And the second thing is the marketing thing comes in. You're like, where can I sell it as fast as possible and still make more than I bought it in from? So yeah, it's always that kind of like.
Speaking of the whole leftover thing and what you can make and all that. So as a chef, how married to tradition are you in terms of old dishes? You know what I mean? Like if somebody uses cream in a carbonara, would you lose your mind and go,
No. Like it like for me, it doesn't really, like the main thing is it has to taste good. If it's good, then everything is excused. Like be as creative, do your improv thing. Like take a really sacred old recipe, fuck it up, make it a busted mutant thing. If it tastes good.
See, that's beautiful, because there's few times in my life where I say the internet was a mistake. But in this case, like the internet was a fucking mistake. Because every comment section, every fucking Reddit thread, everywhere you go, there's just massive flame wars over the simplest of things.
Yeah, like you can't do this because like in Italy they're using this type of cheese and this type of cream, and like you're like, yeah, but they probably used it because they didn't have anything else.
And that's why I love the shit food porn subreddit, because you'll see a guy who uses cheddar in his carbonara, and it's like
like the sheets of cheddar, you know, the cheap, most plastic cheese
on top,
something like this.
Because I'm the same. All it is, it's about how tasty it is at the end.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, making it the traditional way is great and all that, but you know,
if you have that. But at the same time, like we don't live in Italy. We don't. Maybe not everybody has the luxury of going to Baltiam and buying the most beautiful pancetta or whatever they're gonna find and things like this. Like, you're just gonna buy your smoked cheek of Rakvere pork or whatever. You're gonna make that, and it's still gonna taste good.
Recently enough, Dan Weinbergs came to me and he was like, dude, I wanted to make burger. and Sanders said, okay, go to the shop and get the mince. Yeah. And he got a koduna haklia. Yeah. And Sander refused to make the burger.
He's like, fuck off.
It has to be beef, man.
Oh, man. No.
Does Põhjaka have... Okay, this is going to sound stupid. Are there any delivery services for Põhjaka?
Not on Bolt on Volt, but we used to do during the Christmas. There we do the packages where we have not exactly made food, but basically like there's a whole list of produce that you can order from. Pate to the different alcoholic drinks that we make, to the kimchi, to the minced meat, to cookies, bread, things like this. Like the bread is one of the most popular things, and smoked meat and things like this. So sausages. So you can make yourself a bag. And when it was the lockdown period and nobody could go anywhere, those came back again, and we sold those because, again, like as I said before, we have this really nice loyal customer base who come and visit and talk about us, and there were a lot of people who ordered and
they wanted those packages.
Yeah,
they wanted those things.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you can't order like
I can't order
full meal.
They're gonna bring it here an hour. Some fucking guy cycling down Talent to
but there are things that you can order. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my friend is a chef in Edinburgh, and he told me that the lockdown actually they had to work harder. So
man,
the doors were closed, and they just had to because
more orders,
way more orders.
I was like that was one of the saddest, kind of funniest moments during the early days of lockdown. I went to Tartu Veeriku Selver, and there they have Hesburger, and there was one person behind the counter and one chef. And the amount of checks on the pass was ridiculous. They didn't even have room to put them up there. And some of them, I kid you not, were at least a meter long. And I looked at that person in the kitchen. I was like, I feel so sorry for you, because like I've had stressful situations before, but having that pass, one chef, I would just be like, either fuck this, I'm out, just walk out, or be just like, okay, we're gonna power through it. I need a hard drink, a smoke, and we're gonna power through it, or something like this. But after that, I would go to my boss and be like, I need a raise, or you need to hire some more people, because this is, or either I'm quitting, because that didn't look fun.
It was mental. I remember I went into Kaya Pizza Cook, and she said 3-hour wait. Yeah, I still made the order and fucked off.
But Kaya Pizza is different.
That's the way. I mean, they're busy.
Kaya Pizza is a different beast. Like, there are places like Karjasai, for instance, where you're waiting for your bread, like bakery. You are waiting for your hot oven buns or whatever, and there's like a queue of 500 meters or something, like a couple of 100 meters, and you're like, okay, 500 is too much. Couple of 100, and you're like, is that worth?
Yeah.
That's probably for those people, definitely.
Sure, it is.
Yeah. And they
that becomes an experience. Like, no one's like, oh, I waited 3 hours for my Hesburger. How amazing this is. But, when the bread comes out, you're like, oh, yeah, 3-hour bread.
There are some really, really good breads there, and there are some really tasty pizzas and things like this. And Kaya Pizza as well. Me, myself, if you ask me, if I would go there and I would see a long-ass queue, I would probably not gonna order there. If I would really be hungry for that, I will probably order it and then just walk away, or think I'll come back later or something like this.
That's why I love there's a lot of pop-ups at the moment in Tallinn. Like there's this Belgian bloke, Francois, on Harjape here. He makes bread, he makes baguettes.
He's next to me. He's my neighbor.
Really?
Like he's not in the same house, but next house.
Every Saturday I make my order, and he takes orders during the week. He'll just make whatever he's ordered, plus maybe 10 extra baguettes, 10 extra pain au chocolat, and then that's it. That's him for the week then. Or there's this guy who makes good burgers out of his fucking apartment building in on Livalaya, called Burks, or Burx.
Yeah,
and
I heard about it.
He delivered all the way out to fucking Caleb's house. Because the boys were stoned. They were intoxicated and starving, and I was like, all right, Burks, give me like 8 burgers, and he was like, yeah, sure.
Have you, Tim, because we just did the shows on Friday. We did 2 shows in Pärnu, and one of them was outside at Morna, which is an outside place. It's a container, but they got a wood-fired oven in there. Have you ever had the pizza in Pärnu, Morna?
Never, no.
Look, best in Estonia is going around. Definitely
better than pizza kiosk.
Pizza kiosk in the Mäeküla.
Yeah.
No, in Paide,
pizza kiosk. Well, depends. Yeah, it depends what is truly true to your heart, Tim.
Yeah.
But what is truly, and I don't just mean the congestion and the cholesterol.
I'm gonna die.
I mean, Stefani's is like, how to say, if you're gonna go to Paderno and make a good pizza shop, you better have the best fucking pizza. Like Stefani's. Now, I'm not even saying like Stefani's is the best pizza. Don't get me wrong, right?
It's an institution.
It's an institution, exactly. Yeah. You're taking on an institution.
Yeah.
And Mona have done it. It is great wood fire pizza. I don't know. Sander was like, Kaya, Mona could go either way on any given day. Yeah. So we got to go for a drive to Pärnu, get you some Mona.
We have to go and try out, if you haven't, the Karjase sai, the Karjase pizza. They open. It's in Kopli. It's in Botik tehas. The Karjase sai is the bakery that has been open for couple of years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
They need some food out there, so that's
and
good.
They do like sourdough loaves and shit as well, don't they?
Yeah. And they started making pizza now. And they bought this really nice pizza oven. A couple of my friends working there. And they're trying to open up like a restaurant side, pizza restaurant side. And I've been there a couple of times. It's really, really nice. So I do recommend that. Go and try it out.
I, for one, am over the moon by this food explosion in Tallinn. I keep finding new places all the time.
Oh, yeah. But you know what's the sad thing?
You're a pig in shit with this.
But you know what's the sad thing about it?
What?
Is that they fall in 3 categories. Pizza, burger, kebab. Mostly.
But there's stuff like Levain and Rotermani or Rost who do like
the pastries and things like this. But in general, they're mostly like 3 like Thai, Georgian burgers and
because name
pizzas.
Where your immigrants come from.
Yeah.
Name we got to get more of the immigrants, and then
now people are trying to get into the South American Mexican thing because first of all, like for instance in Jaco we had this Marcelo, a great guy from Mexico who came and worked for us and then worked with us, and he said, I'm going to make, for some dailies, he was like, I'm going to make some real Mexican foods the Mexican people going to eat. It was quite different from the Tex-Mex things. There you could still see the same ingredients, like the corn and the beans and the mincemeat and things like this and some spices. But the dishes themselves were different. And now we get more people who have been there. We get more people who come from there. And more people who are more curious about it, because in Estonia, Mexican food and South American food meant tacos, burritos, and quesadillas.
So the people responded well to the authentic Mexican stuff. Like they weren't just like, "What is this?"
No, really well.
They got it. Like that's cool.
I think they were still a little bit surprised that it wasn't. Well, we wrote it down from the menu as well, like what's in there. They got it from the flavor that it's Mexican food, but they weren't like, oh, where's my tacos? Where's my wrapped burrito roll or something like this. So yeah.
I know there is like Mexican cuisine is crazy, like, diverse and stuff, but the day that an Al Pastor place opens up in Tallinn, I'm dead in a week. I'm dead in a week. Yeah. Al Pastor is like Mexican kebab kind of like it's because there's this region in Mexico called Jalisco where all these Middle Eastern immigrants went to back in the 1870s or whatever, and they brought their food with them, so they combined Mexican cuisine with this kebab culture, and they created this thing called tacos al pastor, which is a big stack of meat that's shaven, giant pineapple stuck to the top. The pineapple juices go down into the meat. I had it once and I was like, I can't eat this. I'm going to be dead in a week. So that's how I go out, boys, eating pastor.
Yeah. Sitting there behind the bar is like,
I'm done.
But at the same time, for instance, like talking about like fusion food and things like this, Peruvian national food, like a part of the Peruvian national food is called chifa, chaufa. And it is Asian Chinese immigrants who have come to Peru in the early 20th century, late 19th century, been working there. They brought their recipes and used Peruvian ingredients to recreate Chinese food. and there were so many of them that in Lima you have this huge Chinatown, and their food, the fusion of Peruvian ingredients and Chinese recipes, has made it into such stages that it is Peruvian national food. That you can get a wonton soup in a Peruvian restaurant, and Peruvians are going to say this is Peruvian food, and they're going to say that their noodles with beef and paprikas and things like this is their national food. Of course, they have many other things and many other ways of cooking that add, but they're also going to say that this Asian fusion is their food, which is really, really nice. And you're like, loved it.
Like South American cuisine and African cuisine is great for that. There's just such a do you hear that, Ekra? Do you hear me?
Can you imagine the day, Tim, that you get a wonton soup and you're like, "Señor, esti maitse."
You get rock with a stamp, real Estonian flavor or something like this, or a wonton soup or something. But that's
some guy called Might.
But that's the thing. Yeah. So.
Unfortunately, Irish cuisine will never be a fusion food.
That's the thing. Like, no, it has been if you think about American food, North American food, like you get loads of Irish people went out. That's the thing. Like Irish, like Ireland was never kind of destiny spot for immigrants. Like, oh yeah, let's go to Ireland.
Well, the English
people went out from Ireland, like so you get loads.
We're going to conquer Ireland. We're not going to just go there and hang out.
But the Irish Americans rewrote our culinary history. We never ate corned beef in Ireland.
Yeah, but you get Irish people went to America and they took their things that you had in Ireland and they mixed it with North American indigenous people's food, and then African slaves' food, and then from Mexico, and like this whole thing happened, and now you get this so-called American food, which is not really American, but mix of everything.
And of course, the stereotype is potato Ireland. It's a Peruvian fucking root.
Yeah, South American, but yeah, in or North American as well. But the general thing is that it's a hodgepodge of really everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I mean, the authentic Irish food, it is like, well, it's peasant food, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, pig
There's,
trotters and
the authentic
necks and
Estonian
shit,
food is basically peasant food as well. Like we've kind of like turned away from it, but at the same time, most of the things that we eat or kind of like show focus and show spotlight to when we talk about Estonian food is peasant food. The funny thing is when Estonians walk around, like most of them that I've heard, my friends included, when you ask like what is Estonian cuisine and what is Estonian national food, not a lot of answers come up. Like it's gonna be like kama and
something super boring.
Yeah,
it'll be
some kind of like. But a lot of them they say is like a fusion of Russian, German, Nordic food and things like this. But at the same time, that it's still part of our food, and it's still part of our cuisine and the things that have been made throughout centuries.
That's hard because it's like to say we hear it all the time, fusion of Russian, German, and all of this. Like, oh, just because you fucking made cabbage first, we have cabbages here too. We're allowed to make cabbage. Oh no, but that's Russian to have the cabbage. You know, like somehow it's delineated. This food, this way, is only Russian.
But at the same time, we have also a lot of like recipes that. Let's not say they've been lost. Not a lot of places make them. Like if you go outside of the big cities, you go to the Isles or you go to small villages, you still get those recipes and those foods in these small restaurants and pubs and cafes and things like this. But we, like most of Estonians, look at those foods as like, that's what my grandmother used to make. That's old. Maybe that's not so. They don't look so fancy and things like. You can make them look really, really good and things like this, but somehow I guess like maybe it has been changing for a couple of years now. But before that, especially, it used to be like people were like, "This is country food. This is peasant food. This is we wouldn't recommend it as our national dishes. We wouldn't say like, oh yeah, like when we talk about Estonian food, we are talking about these specific things like fish, like marinated fish, or some kind of like rye breads, like what do you call them, like desserts and with milk and milk soups and things like this. That milk soup with fish, for instance, in Setomaa, like you would be like, what the hell is going on, you know? But at the same time, like that's the thing they do there, and if it's made well, it's really, really nice. So I guess there's also this kind of like a little bit of not embarrassment, but like resistance or resilience of
almost like it
really
takes time.
Yeah.
You know, like it takes a little time, some years, and then we come around again and go like, oh, I've discovered this traditional recipe.
Yeah. But then again, like exactly when some kind of a high class fancy restaurant puts it on the menu and they say like, it's like this, and they're like, oh, we discovered this is something like, oh, we're really proud, this is our own. But then again, like your uncle and aunts were making these things like, and you were taking it as, that's something that they make. Yeah. The other funny thing is that I've realized is what people do that should be other way around is that we have our own recipes in Estonia, the national food, for instance, akis, which is salted fish, like raw fish salted with a little bit of sometimes vinegar, some onion, things like this. It's and we call it ceviche. It's not really ceviche. Ceviche is like from Spain, Peruvian dish from raw fish and lime juice and things like this. The method is kind of similar. Akis is cured from salt. Ceviche is made with lime juice. The result is different, but the idea behind them is kind of similar. But the thing is that ceviche, like now with this Mexican, South American food coming up, sounds more intriguing and like, I will have that. But at the same time, we have our own thing, and when you say that, people are like, I'm not very sure about it. Raw fish kind of sounds fishy, things like this. But the idea is like, use your own, use the names, use the recipes, highlight the foods. You don't have to use fancy names and fancy recipes or kind of like focus or show light to international foods when you're making something that is right here on your own.
That's kind of like what we talked about, the food elitism that's out there. Like, I mean, schnitzel came from Germany. Austria. Maybe before that it came from somewhere else. Like Brits they're so fierce in their love for Worcestershire sauce. Yeah, okay. It was a Roman Empire thing called garum years and years before.
Okay, before that.
And garum also is from Asia. Like that's
exactly. It's just fermented fucking fish sauce. You know.
Yeah, the Romans were getting into everything, so it makes sense they might have taken it around, but it's like
easy life.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, we've been talking for quite a while. So, anyway,
it was really nice talking to you.
It's nice
talking
about food.
I think we kind of like diverged from the path of like traveling and things like this into straight into food. But I think food is again something not only that unites everybody. That brings everybody around the table, and kind of you always have a nice time when you sit down with friends or family or with complete strangers. Like one of the first things we do when we meet people, like on a business trip or whatever, is like, let's go for a lunch or something like this, because that is an informal environment where you share something. There's this, like, we can go deep down the road into this like semitism here, talking about like being open and showing friendship and things like this. When you share a meal with somebody, but it is a topic or a conversation topic that never just runs dry, and it's been fun. I
have my own phrase. There's doctors without borders.
Yeah.
Bellies without borders. Bellies without borders.
There you go. Yeah.
So we're gonna come. I'm gonna come to Põhjaka soon with my girlfriend. We're gonna come for a birthday. Like, I don't want to put you out. I understand you're the chef. You're in the kitchen. It's very important. There's a lot going on. Is there any way, like, can you come out for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's the coolest fucking shit. When you go to the restaurant, oh, here's the head chef who's come to talk to us about the meal.
The thing is with Põhjaka and with me, like the idea how I work as well is like the the head chef is one thing. Like, yes, I do the menu. I think about the things that go into plate that goes together well. Yeah, but it's also the people who work with me, because they give a lot of inspiration, and I always talk with them. I always make them try the stuff that I do, and give the feedback, and if they have good ideas, they bounce it off me, and we'll like, because that's how I see a good team working, and that's how I see the best thing going out. So and at the moment, we're also open our kitchen, like during the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, our kitchen is outside. So we move everything outside, and we're cooking outside on live fire under the big terrace. And yeah, of course, we have a little bit of time to show around and talk. So yeah,
I want to do that because yeah, like, because my girlfriend, she doesn't like, she comes from Tartu, but she doesn't like, hasn't met you before.
Yeah.
So because usually
one
be like
time in Möku, like in open mic or something.
Maybe
like
there was, because usually be like, oh, okay, yeah, there's Jekimov, here he is. But now it's like, oh, here's my friend. He's a half Korean. He's an amazing chef. You know, he's half Korean Estonian. He's the head chef here. He's gonna talk.
First you have to try the food and then say if I'm an amazing chef or not. So
come out and she'll instantly go, I was a bit too salty.
Yeah, a bit too dry, a bit too salty. Presentation was so and so. So
needs more salt. That's the
wasn't really Instagrammable. So yeah, but yeah, definitely come by, and then you're next to Bide, and we should chill out in Bide as well.
When I come back from Ireland, I'll be right there.
Yeah, we should do that. So yeah, thank you very much for
thanks for coming over, brother.
For inviting me. Yeah,
all right,
absolutely
cool. Thank you very much for watching the next episode. See you soon.
Coming home, Mom.
Mum's listening this long.